One of them actually told me that if you're dating someone doesn't mean you own them.
Oh God, what do you mean?
If they want to flirt with someone else, that's totally okay.
Oh my God.
We live in a crazy town. We live in a crazy world which is full of like observations, people's opinions, public perception, like who it is you are and who it is you probably want to continue to be.
I think some teacher said that, okay, now we're going to separate Pia and Tara. And I remember looking at Pia and I welled up in tears because I just was like, I can't be separate from her. What will I do? If you don't know yourself, you can't know another person deeply, and therefore you cannot love another person deeply. I had a party for my 30th birthday and the invitation said, I'm turning 30, and so many people said, why are you telling people that you're turning 30?
Welcome to chapter 2.
Thank you.
I'm really happy you came.
I'm really happy to be here.
Meaning to catch up and hang out, and I have known you through Shovik's eyes, I've known you through Shraddha's eyes, and I've known you and seen whatever I've seen of you. But I've always felt like this chick is too perfect. Like one of my girlfriends called me up recently and she said, "Khana bhi banati hai, acha dance bhi karti hai, gana bhi gati hai, sundar bhi hai." It's like, "Hamara kya hoga?"
What nonsense! No.
Literally.
No.
So today, I think what I want to know is what lies behind all of that and who you really are.
Yeah.
How you think, your psychology, your philosophies of life, and who you really are outside of all the noise that surrounds all of us.
Well, I'm glad you're asking all this. It's good.
Yes.
Good.
So let's start from the start. Growing up, what was life like with your sister, your mum?
Life was pretty much how it is today. I feel like nothing has changed at home. There was no restriction. And I think that's why when we've grown up, we've never felt restricted as kids. So as adults now, we feel like we can talk about everything with them. When it comes to work, to 100% we can. But when it comes to other things, people, relationships, love, just anything that we want to. If we want to have a drink, we can have that with our folks. There's never been that sort of restriction of formality between a child and a parent in our home. So that's something that we grew up with, and it's really been amazing to grow up like that because they're friends as much as their parents, and they ensured that was something that was said to us all the time. So that was amazing to grow up like that.
Yeah, that's really nice. And do you think that has an impact on sort of not having a rebel phase?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I say this so a lot of our friends now are married and having their own kids, and they come to our parents to talk to them about it, or they'll come and talk to us about it. And quite often, the first thing I will say is, the more you tell your kid, and this is really common psychology, it's really not even to do with my mom and dad or anything, but the more you tell your kids that don't do this or don't do that, or if you do this, this will be the repercussion, the more they are going to, especially at a younger age, feel like I'm going to do exactly that.
The opposite, yeah.
Because it's just, the grass is always greener, I guess. So that has never happened with us.
Me and Shovik have had a similar upbringing where our parents are our best friends and we kind of live together. I jokingly say that we're roommates, and I still live with my parents, and my friends are like, "You're 33 years old, you need to get out of the house now." And I'm like, "Oh, what? There's no rent, there's good food, and there are friends at home."
Exactly.
But all of this I'm asking because I'm trying to understand you better, and it shapes who you become in your life, right? And obviously I've seen your sister on your Instagram page, and you and her seem to share a very deep bond, and you guys are twins.
We're twins.
Wow.
Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
I think also because we look different.
Very.
She's got really curly hair. She's a lot more athletic than I am because she's been a dancer for much longer than I've been. We're similar in terms of some of our likes and dislikes, but we're also very, very different people. So I think, people don't really put two and two together or realize that we're
What's
twins.
that like growing up with someone who's exactly your age?
It's interesting. Again, growing up, I used to think that everyone had that experience. Like everyone had a sibling or everyone had that sort of same experience that I had with Pia. But when we were kids, she was, and she still is in a lot of ways, a lot more okay with being sociable, okay with, I think she's just always been more confident than I was in a lot of other ways than I am now. Like when you're a kid and you're asked to go for a birthday party or simple things like that was really difficult for me to do. But it was really easy for her to do. So I was very comfortable kind of hiding behind her. It made me feel really secure and safe.
So she was more the extrovert?
She was definitely more the extrovert then. In a lot of ways, she still is. But I've worked on that so much for myself, because also in the job that we do, it's something you kind of have to figure out a little bit to whatever extent you're comfortable with. I still don't feel comfortable going to parties and socializing and all that, but it's better than it used to be. So she was kind of like my guard and guide. And even though we were the same age, when we were little, like I remember till we were in the 4th standard, we were always in the same class, same division or whatever. And then I think some teacher said that, okay, now we're going to separate Pia and Tara. And I remember looking at Pia and I welled up in tears because I just was like, I can't be separate from her. What will I do? Because she was, for a large part, my identity in my own head. Even though maybe that wasn't the case outside, in my own head, I was like, I'm nothing without her. Because I was so scared as a child about everything. And then we were separated and I was in a different division. And I think that's sort of where you have to realize you have to come into your own. So that did wonders for me. But I was still very attached, like till very recently, I would say till about maybe 10 years ago, till I started acting in films. I was very, very attached to the idea of, and very comfortable with the idea of having her in the forefront and me kind of behind. It gave me comfort, I think. But I just I'm moving into my own home now, so that's going to be a big change.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
And you lived with your parents before this?
So my parents have one floor and we've been on the other floor, but because Pia's almost never there, it kind of feels like it's just them downstairs and me upstairs. But
so you're going to move into a new house?
Wow. I'm so really excited.
I feel like a lot of people at this age and stage are like contemplating this move, and primarily if you're really busy. From just like a POV rather than like I don't want to be with my parents.
It's not that. I think I really enjoy, it's like an amalgamation of so many things. I really enjoy interiors and decorating and things like that. I always have. So I've always had these mood boards and these ideas of, when I move into my own home, what it's going to look like. So I think that's the majority of the excitement for me is that. But I think it's also the right time. Like I feel intuitively and in so many ways, just in my heart and in my soul, I feel like this is the right thing for me to do. And it just feels right.
And to feel more independent and free in yourself.
And just, I think, I love hosting, to be honest with you. And I just feel like twice a month I want to have, and I do this at my parents' home, but I just feel like it would be lovely to also have my own space to do I call them my soirees. So I'm really excited to do that in my own home. I love to cook. I love to feed people, all my friends. And, gonna have a nice big grand piano. So gonna have lots of music. And it's really exciting. We
were just speaking before we started shooting that we live in a crazy town. We live in a crazy world, which is full of like observations, people's opinions, public perception. Like who you really are can get lost if there isn't kind of like a grounding that brings you back from time to time to who it is you are and who it is you probably want to continue to be.
Exactly. And I think so many things are changing. Bombay is crazy, the pace at which everybody's working, the pace
it's too fast.
It's too fast. It's become faster than it ever was. And I feel like the few things that should stay are the people, the immediate people you surround yourself with, the food on your table and the basics in life. Those are the things that, like the simple
things. The small things are the big things.
The small things are the big things.
It is true.
It really is.
But usually someone who goes through like some sort of a life altering moment or trauma has this kind of insight, which is why I'm like
really?
Yeah, and you seem to have had a touch with a really nice comfortable family life growing up. And maybe that's what you kind of want to replicate.
I think so. I think that's a really interesting perspective. I think it's the good fortune of having good people around. That's not to say that things haven't been difficult for me in at work or whatever, but that's a separate entity. I just look at it as a completely separate thing to who I am, because it's It's like what I do, it's not who I am.
Yeah.
So you have to separate that from your identity.
I love that. That's really important.
And I really wish more people understood what that phrase like meant, especially in our line of work, because it's so important that you do that for yourself. But yeah, I think it's just wanting to emulate what I think. Like I turned 30 now, and I realized, okay, what do I want? And I've been thinking about this for a long time, and it really does come down to what they say, which is peace of mind, knowing yourself and like loving yourself, and fixing the things that you don't really love, and having people to share your life with.
Yeah.
Like what else matters? And of course the work matters, money matters, all of these things do matter, but it's like,
welcome to the 30s.
You're coming home to yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You better like yourself and do what it takes to like yourself, and surround yourself with the few people that are worth surrounding yourself with. So
fair. And I feel like when you turn 30, I'm very happy that you have this level of clarity. But I feel like even for me, like when I entered my 30s is when I started getting clarity about who I'm not.
Yeah.
What I don't like. And then
isn't it lovely to know?
Yeah. And
to realize, yes.
You distill it down. You're like, okay, if I don't like this, then maybe I'm this and maybe I'm not that. And a lot of that people pleasing and all that I did in my 20s at least, like went out the window. And there's also, I feel, and I want to ask you if you feel the same way, is that there is a lot of pressure in your 30s. And I won't say there aren't pressures for men, there are pressures for men too. But for women, there's A, a biological clock. There's B, this pressure, oh, you're 30, 30 saal ki ho gayi, shaadi kaun karega? All of that auntie giri also happening on the side. So there's all of this. And for most women who started working young, which you and I both have, 30s when you're like just about your career car has started moving forward. Yeah. And suddenly your career seems to be more in your control in terms of you know what you want and you know what you maybe don't want. Yeah. So I have personally had to go through a whole journey of 2-3 years to kind of understand what decisions of mine are based out of conditioning. Yeah. That this is what I have been conditioned to think I should be doing and what I really want. Where are you vis-a-vis this conversation in your head? Is it still in your head? Is it still around you? I never have been one to think about what people are saying. Okay. It's just not how we were raised. And more importantly, I've taught myself also, because we're in a very public space and everyone has a lot to say about everything that we do. So you kind of have to teach yourself also that these things don't really matter. Whether it's the media, whether it's family, friends, whether it's people in our business that give their perspective and opinions. Like so many people told me when I said, I had a party for my 30th birthday. So many people from my line of work said, and the invitation said, I'm turning 30 and I'm so excited, I'd love for you to come, etc., etc. So many people said, why are you telling people that you're turning 30? And I was like, why? What a great luxury to turn 30 and to be happy about it. And to be alive. And to be alive and to be healthy and to want to celebrate it with you. So I don't understand what people are saying half the time, and I just eradicate it from my system. But I don't really care what people say about any of this, like the wedding or like when it has to happen, it'll happen. I look forward to the day that it does, and what will be. When it happens, it happens. My priorities in life are, like I said, peace of mind first, and having good people around. And I know that, I mean, I sleep wonderfully at night with myself, and I really enjoy my own company. And when that has to change, that'll change. But how does one get here? Like, you have to spend a lot of time with yourself and sit with yourself and recognize what works for you. Like this I've always enjoyed my own company. I've always been a bit of a loner. I've always been that person who likes to sit and have a chat with myself. So if I wasn't that person and I needed people around me all the time, and I needed that validation of, friends, family, outsiders, work people all the time, maybe I wouldn't have this kind of clarity. See, because it takes a lot, I've been told plenty for me to come to the realization of trolls don't matter and trolling doesn't matter and what people say doesn't matter was
Yeah.
a bit of a journey.
Yeah.
Like initially it bothered me.
Yeah.
And then in bits it still bothers me. I won't lie. Like at times if it's still unnecessary and overt, which it always is, I'm like, why?
But
Why do they
naturally,
hate me?
Rhea, anyone who's been through what you have, I can completely understand why that would bother you. That's an anomaly. That's not natural and normal what happened. So,
but there's
I can
also so
understand
much
that.
trolling for everybody else as well, right?
But I mean, everyone needs to realize.
No, I'm very amazed that I mean, it shows in your actions because you have, maintained your dignity and been silent, and which is pretty much what I've tried to do as well, and been very resilient through whatever it is public perception has thrown at you. And I was wondering before you came today that how did she get to this part where it didn't matter to her? Because I know it took a hell a lot for me to get to that place where I'm like, I don't care.
So I signed Student of the Year 2 when I was 20. I'm now 30. So it's been 10 years of sort of understanding how this part of the city works, how people in the city operate, how this business works. For a majority of it, I have never ever faced trolling. And I don't have a PR agency. I've worked with a PR agency only when my films release. Otherwise, I don't have PR. I don't enjoy that part of
being an
our work.
actor. Yeah.
I really like my life, and this is just a part of it. Like it's not my whole world. It's not my whole life. And even now, I'm only doing the kind of films that I really think I'll enjoy doing, because I do treat it as it's just what I do and it's just a part of my life. It's not the whole thing. And I think that also is a reason for me to not take social media so seriously. But I do have to say I'm really happy that people have not been negative towards me for so many years. There's been so much organic love, and I say that with a lot of pride because I'm just happy they see me for who I am. Like the people that follow me, there's never been anything paid for. There's never been anything that has been produced by me or by my team.
It's not a manufactured narrative.
Nothing has been manufactured. Everything is organic. So for that, I'm really, really grateful. And the few hiccups here and there that come for a week or two, really couldn't care less.
I mean, it's good.
And the
only.
people that matter know the truth, and really it's not something to pay attention to, because that's not real life anyway.
No, but that's amazing. It's amazing that you are at this place and you are able to think like this, because a lot of my friends who are actors as well, they get bothered. They get bothered by like the smallest rumor, and I've had so many rumors that people often call me up as like,
oh God,
bro, what? I can't cope. How did you cope? Like that kind of conversation. And I'm like, bro, I have to heard from my watchman and all who I'm dating sometimes. I'm like, he's like, badaiyo madam, aapki shaadi ho rahi hai. I'm like, kiske saath?
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm like, kiske saath?
Oh God.
And to people I don't even know, like people I've never met, etc. So
I think that's also happened to that happens to everyone. I think that really happens to everyone.
But it is overwhelming. It is not normal.
I think I was 2 months into doing readings for my first film, and suddenly there were these like blind items that were coming out like all the time. I didn't even know they were called blind items. Then I just like turned 21 or something. And I remember like my mom and dad used to come to my room in the morning and be like, by the way, this week, guess what's being written about you? This is the new thing. Next week is this. So I was like, okay, we treated it with so much lightness and with like being amused by it that I think I started off only not taking anything seriously because of how they also helped me feel through it. And none of my friends are too normal. They're too like they'll make fun of something. They won't be like serious about it. So I've never taken it seriously as well. And thank God, because otherwise you can just go crazy.
You can go crazy. It's a deep, dark black hole.
Yeah, it's true.
But do you think it's harder for women in some ways? Like public perception is slightly more sharper. The edges are not very well rounded when it comes to women.
In like, certain aspects, yes.
Like you
not
can be
everything, but
you're pretty, but don't be too pretty. Like you have an opinion, but don't be dominating. Like there's so much of that dichotomy that exists.
There is a huge dichotomy, and very slowly I think it's changing, but it's changing too slowly. But I think men also face their own set of challenges.
For sure.
But it's just different. It's different for men. It's different for women. But yeah, you're right. There is this odd dichotomy of, if you're too nice, that's considered a problem. If you're not nice enough, that's a problem. Like everything is two sides to everything.
And you're very boxed. Like I feel like women get more boxed than men do.
That I agree with.
Right?
That I agree with. Even in work, I agree.
Even in work, even in personality types. Like for example, if your culture and you speak English well, like it's
you're a snob.
You're a snob or isko Hindi nahi aati. You get that?
My whole career, my whole life, even in school actually, I used to get this.
But why speaking
Sorry, I enjoy the English language, guys. I enjoy Hindi as much, but nobody cares to ask me that. But anyway.
बाकी का इंटरव्यू हिंदी में करते हैं फिर.
चलो करते हैं.
क्योंकि सबको अगर लगता है ये तो let's show them कि आपको हिंदी भी आती है, right?
Snob है. But attitude है मैम को. That's what I get told all the time. I'm like, what rubbish? Yeah.
You don't come across like this at all.
No, and I'm just a little more introverted than other people. In a party. Otherwise, if I'm sitting with you, I'm very like chatty. I love to have a good chat. But just like socially, I'm a little more quiet, or maybe I don't go to enough social things, so people think that's snobbery, but it's not. It's just, I'm just very uncomfortable socially. And there are so many actors that are like that. I know so many people over the years who tell me, bro, like I've heard you don't like to go out. Even I don't like to go. So next time, can we go together? And some of these people are actresses who are, you would never think. And I'm like, oh, that's so nice to know. That you're also uncomfortable to go out. Most people are. I
was doing an episode with Zakir and Tanmay, and I was like, I was talking about social anxiety, और मुझे बहुत होती है, especially given like PAPs even till date. Like if I get PAPed, it takes me a minute because my body goes into fight or flight, and there's a response. And Zakir said, अगर आप ये सोच रहे हो कि सिर्फ आपको social anxiety है, बहुत ही गलत हो. He's saying social anxiety तो सबको है, ये मान के ही चलो. Like
but I
didn't
realize this.
Everyone is socially anxious. Everyone.
Well, they're doing a very good job of not showing it.
As a we.
Maybe I can't. Like, you see me at a party, Rhea, you'll be like, she's so different. And I am different. I've decided I'm going to just own it now.
Yeah,
I am a little introverted in public. And I'm not like, even in front of like with the paps, like now I know the paps. So I've told them, ki, guys, I'm just shy. Like, if I'm not over like, hi guys, or like, what's up, kya ho raha hai? Like, I'm not like that.
That's not who you are. Then that will be fake.
I don't want to fake it. Yeah, that's all.
So, yeah, fair. So, if you're not over-friendly, then it's a bit fake. So, what do you think is a solve though? Like, iska solution kya? Like, when women, and for men really, like, how do you kind of... I want to talk about public perception because you've been in the media eye for so long. You've had a career for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like you said, 21 people started writing about you. There were blind articles.
Yeah.
Ghar pe discuss ho raha tha, all of that.
Yeah.
What do you think is a solve? Like, there has to be a solution.
Conversation. There's nothing that can't be resolved in conversation. So, for example, we're talking about it now. The people that will watch this will probably listen a little bit more and think about it more, because that's the only way you can hope to change something, is talking about it. Conversation, nothing else.
Fair. But tell me, living in this public eye and having all of this, it's hard to be, it's hard to have a normal relationship. And I have faced it, and I'm sure you have, and I know a lot of other actor friends. It's hard because anywhere you go in Bandra, you get papped, and then they're following you, and then they write about you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to talk about it. Sometimes you don't want to talk about it because you're figuring it out with the other person.
Correct.
Where are you at in your thoughts about love? Do you want to be married? Do you want to have children? What's the kind of partner you're looking for? I'm sure someone who can host a good soiree with you, but outside of that,
I'm happy to host. They can sit and enjoy. No, I think both people's idea of love should be similar, if not the same.
What's yours?
Oh gosh, like simple things need to align. Your foundation, your base needs to align. How you feel about people needs to align. Kindness.
Kindness is a non-negotiable.
Huge.
It's a non-negotiable.
How you prioritize love. How you make the other person feel even when you disagree with them. How do you feel about conflict, and how can you deal with it in a way where you can agree to disagree? I think that's fantastic. If you can agree to disagree, nothing wrong with it. And so many people think that's not a healthy way to... I think it's absolutely fine. I think no matter how differently you're brought up or differently you different social circles or whatever it is. None of that really matters. Just how your perspective on life, your perspective on love, these things, if they're aligned, it's very easy to get along with somebody, because essentially you have to be with them for the rest of your lives.
Which is a long time.
Which is a long time. So you must like each other before you can even love each other.
Sure.
And when you love each other, how much do you like that person when you're with them all the time? Because you have to really be able to like them more, sometimes even more than you love them.
And after a point, like initially it's easy to like someone.
Exactly.
But 18 months is when the hormones last scientifically.
Absolutely.
After which the filters are changed.
And that's where friendship comes into play. And that's where understanding the person comes into play. But I've realized if you don't know yourself, you can't know another person deeply. And therefore you cannot love another person deeply. So that's my wish for whoever I'm with is, I think that please know yourself. Please know yourself. Because I've spent so long being by myself the last few years that I really spent that time to get to know myself, so that when I'm with someone, there's less room for error.
Yeah. But
yeah,
it's not that easy for men to really like go down that path, because unfortunately their conditioning is completely the opposite.
It's very different. It's
about repressing. It's about not feeling, not sharing, not emoting, not crying, and it's not their fault. But I see that that's the issue today. Like with a lot of my friends and girlfriends, and this is my favorite topic, by the way. I can talk about for hours. I really enjoy understanding the psychology of men and women in the world and how it's changing, and why why dating is changing. Infidelity is so common now. It's almost normal.
Scary. It's scary. It's
in the younger generation, like my brother's generation, or even younger than him. In fact, like some of my colleagues who work with me, the Gen Zs, it's like too normal. One of them actually told me that it's not a big deal. If you're dating someone, doesn't mean you own them.
Oh God.
No,
it doesn't mean you own them, but what do you mean?
Means that they can, if they want to flirt with someone else, that's totally okay.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you. And it's okay.
This stuff makes me very angry.
But they are the future. The Gen Zs are the future. So
this makes me sad and
what are your thoughts on?
No. What do you mean? Flirting is like,
it's a non-negotiable.
Cheating. Of course it's cheating.
Oh, the flirting that they are saying is nothing.
Oh my God.
Flirting means totally okay. They are in fact negotiating whether like physical infidelity, emotional infidelity, which one is infidelity. Like these are the conversations.
Infidelity is infidelity.
I hear you and I agree with you, and same, like I believe in this. But
oh no.
What are we going to do with these beliefs if like the world has changed?
I think there's, and I don't, most of my friends are like very old, okay? They're all my parents' friends and stuff like that. But I feel like this is a very cyclical thing. These notions that come into all of us as the young people, these are all cycles. I don't think this is going to last very long. At least I hope it's not going to last very long. This whole perspective on love and stuff like that, because I think there's a lot to be said about the old-fashioned way of pursuing somebody, of getting to know somebody, of loving somebody, and I think that there's a lot to be said about that. We're hearing about so many, like you just said, we're hearing about so many people who are having unsuccessful relationships because of infidelity and things like that, and that's very sad. So I think maybe that this is a time to reflect and go back to maybe take from our parents' time. No, I'm not saying take everything from there. There's a lot to learn in good ways and maybe not the good ways from that generation. But I think, having patience in a relationship, you can't just be bored of somebody and be like, right, bye. That's what so many people are doing these days. It's very sad. Have patience. Stick it out if the person is worthy of that. Don't just give up on everything. I feel like that's another thing. People just give up the second there's the slightest issue, and that's so sad.
But what I feel about that is that the women in our mother's generation or grandmother's generation, they were the ones not giving up. They were the ones who were like, you know what? Okay, my husband comes home and he doesn't treat me right or whatever.
No, that's a completely separate
I'm saying
conversation.
Not even treat me right, not in that way, but like doesn't help in the house, doesn't do this, doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
And the roles, they were very defined because there was a provider and there was a nurturer.
Yes. And that's another thing, gender roles, so important to not have those as far as possible in the house. But Yeah, I feel like it's very fickle. I feel like it's very fickle, and I wish we could all go back to a simpler understanding of a relationship. And this in no way is me saying tolerate bad behavior. There is no excuse for bad behavior. But find the sweetness in that dynamic again. I think there's less
I love that
sweetness.
you're saying all this, because a part of me also believes that it still exists. But a part of me, the logical part of me, having experienced life a little bit, having been in the dating world a little bit, is like, I don't know, because the world we live in today, we all have too much access. See, even not just actors, but anyone else, like on your phone, you can swipe. There's so many people. Like, it feels like the options are too many. Always. For everyone.
I've
for
heard
girls
so
and
many,
boys.
so many people say this. I think also because of the rise in apps and people using that and stuff like that. For me, I think I'm really old school. So I don't even look in that direction. It's just very different for me, but I do understand, there are so many people that are going onto apps and finding love. One of my closest friends just got married to the love of his life. They met each other on an app, and I think that's great. But I think just in essence, remembering like what it is to be in a relationship, and that is the good, the bad, the ugly. And yet I'm just reiterating, to be clear, do not tolerate bad behavior. But outside of that, remember the sweetness of your relationship. Remember all the good things when there are bad days, because there's going to be bad days with everybody.
Everyone,
so, Like,
what are your non-negotiables, like in relationships, not just romantic?
Deceit, betrayal, something I can't, lies, dishonesty, pretense. Yeah, that's something I've grown to understand about myself. I can't, because I will never do that to somebody. So it's the least that I would expect in return.
But we live in
I can't. God. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like
the simple things are not the simple things anymore, right? Like,
that's what I'm saying. I want people to remember those things. It's not that hard. I think our generation makes it very hard to remind yourself. Remind yourself of those things. Simple things are not so hard to remember. It's very, again, it's basic stuff. I think I don't have some list of expectations.
Honestly,
Basic. Be good to yourself, then you'll be good to others. I think just I'm not someone who can forgive or forget the sort of, if you've caused me pain, I'm not entirely sure
you can get over that.
I can get over it. Somewhere I'll hold it in and I will feel that pain. I'm just someone I've always been that way since I was a kid. And I'm highly sensitive. So, deceit, betrayal, pretense, lies, that sort of thing.
And do you want children?
I don't know. I really
it's very
don't
confusing.
know. It's an interesting question. So many people ask me this now. I think a lot of my friends, like I said, are having children of their own. But I think there's been a lot of clarity for them since we were kids that they want to have kids. And I think if you are obsessed with the idea and you know exactly what you're getting into, because you have to be so present for them. You can't it can't be second on your list ever. It has to be your number one thing. And you have to love children so much to want to have them. And I do, but I'm not entirely sure yet. And I feel like when I know, I'll know.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't happen for me, it doesn't. But it's never truly been something that has been number one on my list.
You've not been obsessed by it.
I don't think so. Although everyone says I'm very good with children and I'm very maternal
you
in my ways.
You seem like that, like home, feeding, all of that.
I am. So that maybe that'll happen. Maybe that feeling of really wanting it will come at some point. But it hasn't been at the forefront of my
any
thoughts.
of your life or thoughts or decision making.
No.
Fair enough. It's a very interesting question. I dabble in it a lot, but my dabbling has been going on for a long time. We'll take a small break.
Yeah.
Okay, where were we? We've spoken about a lot of things. Public perception, love, relationships, marriage, you didn't say. Kids, you've said you're thinking
kids,
about. Do you want to be married?
You know what? It's so strange. Both my sister and I, as of the last 2-3 years, it's something that we've been thinking about that we want. But till the last 2-3 years, again, it wasn't something that was, so many girls, it's like a priority. It's something they think about from when they're little. Again, that's not something that either of us were thinking. It's new-ish. But it's something I'm really enjoying the idea of.
It's an age thing, I'm telling you.
Everyone used to say this to us when we were growing up, and we were like, no, please, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, no, it's very much something.
In my 20s, I would run away if I would have nightmares of being married.
But it's so strange how it just sort of comes to you and you're like, oh, this idea is very exciting to me now. So yeah, somehow very much something that I think about often, and like I'm really enjoying the idea
of being married.
Yeah, I'm like,
there's just no groom.
Yeah.
No, I feel you, because I'm also like, the marriage, like the wedding event is fun. Like imagining what to wear and where it'll be and all of that.
I just feel like it's just such a romantic idea to want to spend like forever with someone. For me, it's just like, I just think that's really sweet. And a lot of work, but how wonderful to be able to say that person is my person forever.
That this is it.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's such romance to it.
It is. It's beautiful in thought.
Yeah.
But that's the worry. Like, does that thought ever materialize into reality?
That's a conscious effort from both people. I think that's, and I think it's nice to think of it with the perspective of finding joy in that, rather than it's a chore, or rather than it's a duty or a responsibility. When people say this word, I'm like, no, then you'd rather not get into it.
Yeah.
Don't look at it as a chore or a duty or a responsibility. Enjoy the sweetness of it rather than, and of course there'll be moments that'll be tough, and there'll be adversity and things like that. But then which relationship in life doesn't have it? So you just have to work at it. That's one thing though, that like, it is work. It's not.
It's a lot of work. Any relationship is work.
Rainbows and daisies forever.
But do you think? I feel like, when I compare my guy friends and my girlfriends, a lot of my girlfriends, especially like once you enter the 30s, that's why I said welcome to the 30s.
Oh gosh.
It's just a biological clock thing where the girls kind of want to create a home, settle down, be grounded, like create a family or otherwise, like just that the nurturer really like awakens. And for a lot of men in their 30s, it's like, I can do this at 40. I don't have to think about this now. Like Shovik himself has told me that, but I can get married at 45, what's there? And it's true.
Sure, you can, but I mean, everything's a choice now. It depends on the individual. But
there's too many choices being given to us.
Yeah, that is true. But I don't know. I see your point about women feeling it probably earlier than men, or men thinking they can do it later. And sure, they can. But again, I just want to say this out loud. There's so much romance in spending your youth with a person rather than thinking I'll spend my older years with a person. You can do things and have so much fun together the younger you are.
You're obviously more energetic.
Now I feel like I'm sounding very utopian about this, very like dreamer-esque about it. But no, I think, look, perspective is everything. How you see it is everything. I can't change anyone's perspective, but I feel like someone like me who thinks about love as a very big priority in my life, I would love to be with someone forever from now. I don't want to wait till I'm 40 or whatever. And I see the difference. I can sort of try to understand the male perspective on this, but I actually have so many male friends recently who, it's really sweet actually. They've been talking about how they want to be married and they want to have kids and they want to sort of have that life from now. So I think it's changing. I have quite a few male friends actually who wanted that from when we were teenagers for themselves. So
where
that's
are
sweet. They're married now.
They're married
now.
Most of my male friends are just like,
really?
Yeah.
How interesting.
And
okay, I know a few people actually like that. So
yeah. And like most guys I meet also are like, I don't mind. I don't believe in marriage and like children. Like it's not something they've thought about. So many of my guy friends, my brother. So it just makes me feel like, am I only thinking about it because I have the biological clock?
No, I think a want is a want and you shouldn't ignore it. Everyone has different wants and there's nothing wrong with someone who doesn't like the idea of marriage. Is just different. And it's good that they know that, because at least they won't be enticing you into something that can never actually happen. So it's good that at least they're being honest with themselves and then with you or with your friends or whatever it is about that. That's a really good thing, because otherwise it would have been very scary to for your friends or for you or whatever, but it's good that they're aware of it, but it's just a different perspective. And that might work better for them, because again, to want to be married and to want to have kids is the most important. If you are half-hearted about it, disaster.
Yeah, you can't do half a marriage or you can't have half a baby.
And I know people who've done that, and it's been very unfortunate for everybody in that equation. So
also then there is no need anymore, right? Like you said, it's a want.
Yeah.
Like even with companionship, even with partnership, it's a want. Like even for me, it's a want of companionship. Do I need a man to provide in any way? No.
Yeah, but you want the love or the affection,
emotional
or the
connection,
partnership,
yes, all of that. But I think we live in a very confused world, and there's too many options and choices. And I will play a small game with you now.
Oh God, okay.
It's interesting. It's not that hectic.
Okay.
It's perception versus reality.
Okay.
That's what the game is called.
Okay.
I will throw like one sentence to you, and you tell me this is what you think is your perception, or this is what you think is closer to who you are. It might not be accurately either.
Okay.
But you'll know best.
Okay.
It's not that hard.
Okay.
Ready?
No, but okay.
I have wanted to be messier than I am.
Like as a person?
As a person.
No.
It's neither a perception nor a reality.
No,
I'm just warming up so you understand the zone.
Neither.
Okay. People think I'm intimidating.
Yeah, so it's not the truth. So perception.
Perception, like you said.
Yeah.
The good English.
Yeah.
I've ignored red flags because I've believed in potential.
Reality.
I mean, most people's reality.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'd rather be alone than half loved.
Oh, 100% true. Reality, yeah.
I overthink before I speak.
Way too much.
You do?
Way too much. I don't sleep at night because of this. Never have. Way too much. Yeah.
Okay, I'm very strict with my diet.
Again, this is just so far from the truth. So people think that I'm on. Yeah, people think I'm on some diet and all that. Never been.
Not at all. You love food.
Yeah. Love food too much.
I hate small talk.
Can't stand it.
Reality.
Yeah, reality.
I have felt pressure to look unbothered.
Have I felt pressure to look unbothered?
I have.
Maybe earlier.
I have.
Now I just don't give a toss.
You're actually unbothered.
I'm just so unbothered now.
So this is perception.
Yeah.
I get bored if it's too safe.
You know, what an interesting question. I think because I grew up and I've always been a very slightly more prim and proper, little bit of the goody two shoes earlier, not so much now. Maybe that was exciting earlier, but not so much anymore. So, but interesting question.
I think it's probably my reality.
Yeah?
Yeah. Too safe is a bit boring. I don't believe love should slow me down.
In what way do you mean?
Could be professionally, could be personally, could be in your growth, could be in your evolution.
Yeah, so yeah, it shouldn't slow you down. Yeah, I don't think
It's
that love should slow you down.
It's a little confusing.
Yeah. But no, it shouldn't technically slow you down.
I have downplayed relationships to avoid attention.
Never. What it is what you'll see.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
You're quite honest.
Yeah.
And open bookish.
Absolutely.
I have.
Really?
Yeah. I'm just like, I've been linked to everyone. Wait, let me first
see if
I want to be linked to this person or not.
Yeah. That's fair.
Give it a minute.
Yeah, that's fair.
And most people who get seen with me in a relationship might get trolled for a minute and all, right? So it's a little intense for them.
I didn't think about that, yeah.
So I'm like, wait, first you figure it out.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
It's not going to be easy.
I understand that, yeah.
I get mistaken for being too serious.
Not serious, but quiet. Yeah, all the time.
You're not that quiet.
I'm really no. That's what I'm saying.
You've been quite chatty.
Yeah. I just
slow.
look like I am, I think, from what I'm told.
It's okay.
School, college, and even now, I get told the same thing.
It's not such a bad look.
It's fine.
Now that we've come to the end of all of this, I wanted to ask you if we were having the same conversation 20 years from now. And I still had my podcast. And where would you be in your life, in your best case scenario? And what do you think this conversation would be about, given?
How interesting. I don't know. I mean, I think I've always sort of imagined living in this big old house on the ground somewhere where I'm growing my own vegetables and barbecuing and having these, dinner parties with the love of my life. So just probably not in the city. 20 years from now, don't know if that means I'll be in India, not in India, who knows? But definitely doing something creative. Something to do with the theater, music, and food for sure. I'll definitely have a restaurant. That's something that.
All right.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
definitely something that is on my mind. And I really want to open a school for the performing arts. So I think that that's something that I would still be the director of or whatever. So definitely something in music, something to do with food, definitely have a restaurant. I think my perspectives on most things wouldn't have really changed because I think I'm quite clear about how I feel about things, and I'm not sure that would really change unless it's for the better, in which case that's fine. And yeah, just living with somebody wonderful and simple things really.
This very perfect picture. I really hope that happens in 20 years, and I hope that 20 years from now I still have this podcast.
I'm sure you will.
Where the E of my chapter doesn't fall down. And we can have this conversation again. But before you go, I wanted to know one last thing. What is the one transformation or evolution that you have had in the recent past, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, physically, any way, that could be your chapter 2 in a sense? I think you moving into your new house is one of those thoughts.
Big energetic shift. But I think in the last few years, just and I really underestimated the power of this, but I have some very special people in my life, you know, like mother figures and guides and spiritually connected people in my life that have been speaking to me about this. And I gave it some thought a few years ago, and I've been working on this. And that was the idea of sitting with myself and getting to know every part of me so that I can present myself to people, like my best self, really. Just present my best self to people, understand my thoughts and feelings on things in a deeper manner. And I think I'm a much better friend, a much better daughter, a much better friend to myself, and so much more present, lighter as an energy. Because I'm overthinking all the time. I'm a Scorpio, so there's a lot of
You
heaviness.
feel heaviness.
There's a heaviness and an inherent heaviness that I've had since I was a child, and I know so many other people like that. But the more questions you ask outside and to yourself, the more you sit with yourself and gather your thoughts, understand what the world really is, the reality of it, the reality of your perspective of it, and the more you accept and let go. That has been transformative for me, because it's the letting go thing that so many of us struggle with.
It's really hard.
And sometimes we think we've let go of certain things, but actually we haven't, and you're holding on to this rigidity for the rest of your life. And I see so many middle-aged people and older people struggle with that. And realizing that that's not who I want to be has been my transformation. And I can do it now, or I can do it 20 years later and have wasted the best years of my life. But realizing that that's not what I want for myself has been my transformation, and working on that has been my transformation.
Wow, that's really well said, actually.
I try. I try.
Thank you. I don't think looking good or speaking well is any issue for you. And thank you so much for coming on chapter 2. Thank you for bearing your heart. And
thank you.
I'm wishing you this very beautiful, yes, slightly altruistic love that you are imagining for yourself, and this wonderful new home and this new chapter 2 journey. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's a wrap. Thank you.